The Three Stooges are at it again. BetUS college football picks and predictions have done another Penn State versus West Virginia preview. If you'll remember, I did a reaction video to something they said last year on this show. This year, it's gotten even worse. They say Garrett Greene sucks, amongst other things. I'm fired up to talk about that, and we'll get into it right after this word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Shine Auto Spa and Tint in Morgantown, West Virginia. At Magic Shine, your vehicle's care is their top priority. They use only the highest quality products to ensure your car not only looks its best, but is also protected and maintained with the utmost care. From window tinting with top-of-the-line Max Pro Tint and protective ceramic coatings from Diamond Protect, they've got you covered. Drive in today and experience the difference at Magic Shine Auto Spa and Tint, where your car shines like new. Shine on, Morgantown.
This is for Cameron.
Welcome in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, and we're talking about the West Virginia Mountaineers, by God, today, and I'm fired up. A year ago, right around this time, I did a reaction video to these three where they talked about West Virginia, Penn State, and they had a lot to say in that video. Although I disagreed last time, I didn't feel strongly about West Virginia going into 2023 as I do 2024. And the things that they say in this video have me fired up, and I'm going to play them for you today. Don't care if I get copyright hit. I don't think I will, though, because it's going to be a reactionary video. It's also not going to be very long. But, yeah, let's just pop in, listen to what they had to say, and then we'll go from there.
Look, the first Fox Big Noon kick of the season. It's week one. Neal Brown and the West Virginia Mountaineers host the Penn State team that has some incredibly high expectations coming into Morgantown. Nittany Lions are a 10.5-point road favorite at BetUS. The total sits at 51.5. This is a fun helmet battle for sure. Kyle, what's your favorite between these two?
I know Penn State has a classic.
It's a fun helmet battle between these two. Like there's not going to be a good football game on the field. These guys, man.
Helmet, but I like the West Virginia helmet better. I'm going to go with the Mountaineers.
All right, Parker, you?
If it's the West Virginia one with West Virginia on it, the state, I like that one. But I think it's hard to argue if we're talking about classic helmets, Penn State overall.
All right. I am a traditionalist. I will take Penn State in that classic white with the blue stripe. So 2-1 Penn State, right? Penn State, look, last year beat West Virginia 38-15 last season. Covered as a 21-point home favorite. Everybody talked about it because they had to score late in order to cover. James Franklin knows the spread. You guys know what's up. This year, Nittany Lions only a 10.5-point favorite in Morgantown, but they are 9-1 against the spread as a road favorite since 2020. West Virginia was only a home dog once last year. They won outright as a 6-point dog to Texas Tech. Now, under Neal Brown, West Virginia only 6-7 against the spread as a home dog since 2019. Parker, you start us off here. Everybody is excited about the new Nittany Lions offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki, but I want to see Tom Allen with his defense.
Real quick, too, guys. These guys do a lot of against the spread stuff, a lot of numbers, a lot of analytics, I'm assuming. So a lot of this stuff is not in my wheelhouse 100%, but it's their opinions just flat on the team that really had me riled up. They'll get into those here in just a second.
Like West Virginia surprised everybody with a 9-win season last year. Is 10.5 crazy for week one or, too much, too little? What you got?
I don't think so, because I think last year West Virginia wasn't very good, and they got some good scheduling breaks, and they caught some teams at the right time. And I don't think Garrett Greene really has much more in his game to elevate. Overall, I think he's fine, but you kind of know what he is there. They do lose Zach Frazier on the offensive line, which really changes the dynamic of what they were able to do last year. I think this is a real prove-it year for Penn State. You get a little breathing room without division.
What we were able to do last year, number one in rushing amongst Power 4 teams.
And the expanded playoff to maybe make a little more national noise. Michigan's down, so I expect Penn State to come out swinging. I think Drew Allar is a fine quarterback with Kotelnicki. I think he's going to get a lot of more opportunities to go downfield. Everybody shared that clip about, it was, look at these misses in the spring game. And it's like a 70-mile-an-hour winds. And the whole point of that is like, he's working on timing. Like they're practicing that and they're being more aggressive downfield. The whole thing last year at Penn State is they weren't throwing the ball downfield. James Franklin was getting asked about it. And talking about speaking Japanese in reply last year, whatever that meant. But I do think they'll be more aggressive and fun on offense, in a position to leverage their talent advantage much more. And West Virginia really gives them an opportunity to play around and sandbox with some of that. Note that Neal Brown did not get extended. Neal Brown traded years for buyout in his contract. If that tells you anything, read between the lines about what West Virginia thinks about him long term.
Once again, speaking on something that you don't freaking know about. That's not at all what happened.
I kind of like to root for Neal Brown. He's a quality coach. I think the question mark is Greene. I mean, Greene did have great numbers by PFF last year, 90.9 PFF grade. That was 9th best in the country. The offensive line is really good for West Virginia. The question is, does that matter as much against Penn State? Penn State's defensive line is amazing. I think Tom Allen, really good defensive mind. Penn State, 111 tackles for a loss last year. That's fantastic. Secondary lost some good cover guys, but I trust them to still be solid. Penn State's offense is kind of the must-watch. Can Kotelnicki deliver right away? Alar, very highly touted. He wasn't good in the big games last year. His PFF grades in the big games, Ohio State 50.4, Michigan 53.9, even the Ole Miss game 64.0. So he has to improve quite a bit. I think he will improve a decent amount. We'll see how much. My early lean in this game would be the under, although you guys know this. Taking the under in James Franklin games is scary because you never know what's going to happen in the last couple minutes.
This guy seems to be more respectable, thankfully.
I personally want to see Drew Aller and in the new Penn State offense, but I don't think Penn State will necessarily need that here. On the other side, I mean, do we think Garrett Greene is going to be able to do big things against this Penn State defense? He didn't last year. It was in game 1, but we didn't really see Greene against really strong defenses. West Virginia, I mean, they got some big play wide receivers in Hudson Clement and the Oklahoma State transfer Jalen Bray. Penn State replacing all 3 starting corners from last year, but they do have both safeties back. Like I'm curious, right? Abdul Carter and that Penn State defensive line going up against a Mountaineer offensive line that's got 3 starters back. My number on this is 9.6. Just going on gut, I kind of think Penn State wins this one by 2 touchdowns, but we will see what happens here. All right, last game of the day. Moving on.
Okay, so most of my issues are with what they had to say about Garrett Greene. He's like probably the most known commodity on our team, in my opinion. And saying that he doesn't have much to improve upon is just ludicrous. 53% completion percentage or 55, whatever it was, there's a lot to improve upon. You're telling me you can't improve upon that? If you are that good and you can say that with your chest, like you just did, that Garrett Greene can't get any better, then maybe you should be in coaching. Maybe there's a reason you have a college football prediction show. I get it. These guys have they pick a lot of games. You can't know everything about every team. But there are ways to go about it and generalize rather than being so specific. And so you pointed out specific things, and so I'm going to give you specific responses. First of all, the West Virginia offensive line could possibly be better this year. Yes, Zach Frazier's a huge loss. But they did things to Zach Frazier's strengths last year because he was the best offensive lineman on the team. This year it's Wyatt Milam. And the offensive line overall as a whole is more athletic, and they're going to be able to do things just a little bit differently. Doesn't mean they're worse. Yes, we moved them last year. We did. And if we had any semblance of a passing attack in game 1, we had not figured it out yet. Garrett Greene got hurt as he started to figure things out. It was his first year as a starter against Penn State. Can you imagine that in your first game? So I'm going to take Garrett Greene with the game under with a year under his belt, and back with the 5 of the 16 receivers, with 5 of the top 7 offensive linemen, not just 3 starters back, over a Penn State defensive line that is very good. Okay, saying that they can sandbox against this West Virginia defense is ridiculous. They mentioned nothing about the Penn State wide receiver situation, the offensive line situation, nothing. Penn State is replacing several of their top offensive linemen and have very few returning on the offensive line. That's number one. West Virginia returns the entirety of its defensive line. That's number two. Penn State lost Lambert Smith to Auburn via the transfer portal. He was their top player. Brought in a 5-star wide receiver from Ohio State who never saw the field there. And have Tyler Warren at tight end, who was probably looked upon to be one of their top guys coming into the season. Drew Aller didn't have – he had his best game against West Virginia last year, but got worse as the year went on and they faced some better defenses. I really do think the West Virginia defense is going to come back around this year and be stingier. I don't know how much stingier, but to say they can sandbox the team, I can't wait because our linebackers are going to be so ready for this game. I really feel like that. We're going to be so much more athletic. The guys we have stepping in this year, Trathon, Josiah Trotter, Ben Cutter, the Ohio State transfer, Reed Carrico, all going to be big in this game. Reed Carrico has played against Ohio State before, and so has all these other guys. Penn State. You guys need to do a little bit more research. If you're going to talk about teams in depth, do some research. I mean, you only talked about 5 games. Surely you can do some more research than that. Or, hey, I'm available. Bring somebody on to talk about the opposing team. You know, you've got 3 guys. You know, I mean, just good Lord. Don't forget to like the video, guys, if you don't care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. Let me know how you feel about this, guys. Does it piss you off like it pisses me off to hear people talk about West Virginia so flippantly without knowing very much about them? We continually are dismissed. Every video I do these days seems to be about us being dismissed. I apologize for that, guys, but I'm trying to stick up for us here. If you want to stick up for West Virginia, join me in the comments, share this video out, tag those guys on X, and say, hey, this guy has responded to you. Guys, make it happen down below. If you want to see me debate these guys about the West Virginia team, if they have time, I'll take any one of them. Holler at me. Share this video out on X. I beg of you. I forgot to mention the fact that if you're going to bring up one weakness on the West Virginia team, it's our defensive back room, right? We brought in several transfers, 6, 7 transfers, whatever the number is, to try to fix that issue. The other issue I have is they talked about Neal Brown giving up guaranteed. Saying that Brown traded years for buyout is such an uneducated take. It really, really is. Like, I just can't understand how you can say something like that and then not know what the reason was for that. Do you want to know why it was? What was his name? Parker Fleming? It's because he wanted to pay his assistant coaches. Trust and believe. Ren Baker is more than happy with Neal Brown. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. I don't understand where you get this scenario. That's how you spread misinformation, and you need to be better. Flat out, man. Not the truth. The truth is he did that so that he could pay his assistant coaches. It was talked about. It was written about. The information is available. So you guys have got 20,000 subscribers, and you owe it to them to present the information. Flat out. That's just how I feel. Like the video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Be talking about more teams. Until then, guys, this episode is over, and I'm out.
This is for Cameron. Tim Cam.